right, Coach. With this week's Sunday Conversation, head coach of Bullet East Coast, as he speaks about the new youth and cheer football organization, they starting there in the county.
Yes, sir. It's good thing to talk to Ethan Atchley about building a program from the ground up. Tune in here.
Well, Coach, man, first of all, Coach, you're the head coach of Bullet East, your second year there this past year, dealing with COVID and everything. Because one of the new things you started, and I follow you on Instagram and stuff and seen you post this, you're going to start a youth football organization in Mount Washington County only, youth and cheer organization. Tell us a little bit about that and what brought this about.
After we lost a male this year, and throughout the season, I went to youth league games here in my first year, went in my second year. Obviously with COVID, the playoffs for the youth league here in Bullitt County got canceled. That's imperative for a high school coach to get all the way down as low as you can go, and everybody, that's a hot topic debate right now. What does your feeder program from a high school all the way down need to look like structure wise? And so for me, this Mount Washington Football and Cheer Association has really kind of evolved. Middle school success have been about 500. I mean, they've played strong schedules, played good teams, but it's been better competition, and iron sharpens iron sometimes for people is cliche. But it's not when it comes down to what the middle school product used to look like in the county system, which was a dying Pop Warner model. The communities that get it the most are the ones that I believe are forward thinking, have a vision, and the high school coaches from the top down involved, and everybody's one big community. And it's hard to do in major metropolitan areas, but in school districts that have that ability, it can get done. You look at what Belfry does. Like, they literally have third and fourth grade football on their, Facebook page. I used all these entities along with Boyle. Boyle isn't Boyle Youth League is not in the setup exactly like what we're doing. Mm-hmm. They have the Woodlawn Colts. They have the Perryville. They're all based in their elementary district, similar to like what was done here before. Mm-hmm. But on Fridays, those kids, no matter what elementary school they went to, it's black and gold. There's gold coming out of the water when they go to school. If you start talking about true blue blood programs outside of a major metropolitan area, Louisville Male has strengths and weaknesses different than what Bullitt East does versus what Lexington has. Coach Hawkins proved this year that you can easily go into a place as talented as Bryan Station, get kids to drink Kool-Aid, and I say that like they bought into him. And I respect the heck out of Frank Parks. Like, Frank's always been good to me, but maybe a change in the guard was needed. I don't know, but I know that somebody went in there and did an impeccable job, and that's a credit to Philip Hawkins, who I don't know from Adam. We've met each other like once or twice, but you say that because what can he do in the youth system up from the north end of town, would be my question. And for me, when I think about, just my experience growing up outside of Cleveland, Ohio, and then I come down here and I look and say, okay, I was in Lexington. I kind of knew what Scott County was doing because we lived in Georgetown. Then you look around and say, what did we do at LCA versus what did the Catholic do? Okay, well, what's the difference over here in Louisville? Everybody's got their niches or their strengths and weaknesses and what makes them, what's your competitive, niche? I mean, how are you going to make your community buy in? And one of the things in Kentucky that absolutely helps you is if you're in a one-horse town or you're in an independent school, because you're able to feed in under one system with all your kids going to one place. Like in Lexington, there's kids that get split from one middle school to the other. They go one place or, one school or the other. I mean, I don't know if EJ Hayes is still split between Douglas and Henry Clay, but those things matter.
I tell you one thing I loved about you, and I told my wife, is the fact that I felt like you was so, as the head coach of a high school, I feel like you was so involved with everything I need for you at LCA. To see you at game, I don't think you ever missed a game from the 6th grade team all the way through under that 8th grade. You never missed a game. You did the banquet. They was out of town playing. You showed up. If it's a Monday night, you left practice and came to wherever they were. So that to me, that's what I think what Lexington is missing. Douglas, I think, is doing a little bit now, but I think that's missing being involved in the school, in the youth program stuff.
It's not complicated. You've got to make the effort though. You have to be at those games for, even if it's just you're there for some of it. People take notice of that. And as a high school coach, I'm not doing it because I'm forced to do it. It's part of it. It is, but But for the people that don't do it, their programs generally have more ebbs and flows. We have to be community based, in a town, in a suburb outside of Louisville, outside of a major metropolitan area. We've got to do it from a community standpoint where you've got to do it, somewhat differently. If you're in Louisville or you're in Lexington, there's ways to do it. It just might look a little differently than what we do. And how do we do that? Well, it ultimately, goes hand in hand with feeder program all the way down as low as you can get it, feeding into middle school, feeding into high school. Middle school success absolutely plays a big part in it. Your feeder program numbers. If you don't have them in middle school, they've probably joined another sport or they're not playing a sport. So how are you going to get them out as a freshman? And it's a pyramid model that has to be as big as we can get it. I want as many, kindergartners out for football as we can. And then, it's going to taper from there and hopefully not taper a lot. We can keep as many out as we can. So that's the other thing too. Jim McKee was one of the people that made me really think. I spoke at the UK FCA clinic here 2 years ago. So like right after I got a job here at Bold East, he and I sat down and we were talking and he was just, referencing how they've had so much success comparatively to the Lexington schools for a number of years. Douglas has, helped stop some of that here lately, but one horse town, community-based program. And Jim was like, does it help you from a freshman football perspective? Because we were talking about the lack of freshman numbers, lack of kids coming from middle school to high school. And he said, what if you started practice for freshman football when you started school? And, I never thought at LCA it was a problem. I didn't know if that would solve it. But now at Boyd East, we had my first year, we probably, between all the coaches that were in the building, we talked 10 more kids after the first day of school. We got numbers up. We went from like less than 50 to, 66 or something that first year. I forget the exact number. This last year, we were at over 80. And there were kids that came out even this year with COVID, asked on a Zoom call, could they come out for football? So we're getting kids to come out for whatever reason, no matter how much we put on the announcements, we put on social media, kids just for whatever reason make the decision after school starts to come out. And they're generally young kids, they're not seniors. So those are things that I started saying, that there's some merit to that. Like how do you've got to have kids, you've got to have feeder groups that are strong, and you've then got to turn it into freshman teams and separate JV teams. And so those are the pieces that you've really got to have if you want to compete at the big levels. And one of the things that I know, is the concussions, movie, the NFL stuff, everything going on in the world right now where the game's under attack. The USA football model is well thought out, to the point that, you guys, my age group, we all still played 11-on-11 tackle football really, really young. And now there are kids that just never even give it a shot because of some of the negative antics with football. There are parents that see their kid get waxed one time, don't feel like it's safe. There's people that don't let their kids start even playing football till they get older and a little more physically developed. And all the people that I've talked to, from Miami to the USA football reps to people in Owensboro, Avon, Ohio, the Cleveland rookie tackle, my high school coach was part of the 3 high school coaches that were involved in that. A group in New York, Zionsville, Indiana, but we're going to start and rip the Band-Aid and give K-2 flag an option, because the flag league over here in Louisville is not super strong. The only option is like basically the YMCA. The E-Town Sports Park gives you an option to play in the spring here, and I don't know what their numbers look like. They're starting up here shortly, but all these things that basically are doing a disservice previously, where you've got kids in a league that at 5 years old are playing tackle football, that's not a good thing for the game. I mean, I won't let EJ, that's 3, going to turn 4, then going to turn, when he turns 5, I'm not going to let him play tackle football. I mean, it's not that again, that's my livelihood. I mean, it's what puts food on the table in the grand scheme, along with being a teacher. But the reality is, at 5 years old, these kids, they quit because they don't love the contact. I mean, there's so few kids that just get it at that age. And how do we fix it? we phase it in longer. We go with the baseball model. The lacrosse was the best thing I ever coached from understanding that progressive modified game movement. If you're real young playing lacrosse, you don't play on the big field like they do now. You play on a smaller field. And T-ball then turns into coach pitch and then turns into kid pitch, and they move the bases back and the mound back, and it gets bigger as the game goes. And those are things that people in the football world, when they say it's fake football, I'm stealing Chad Pennington's sarcastic line to me, on two separate occasions here years ago and recently. He said, how many people really turn on the Little League World Series and feel that it is fake baseball? No, it's baseball. Baseball for kids, 12 years old, whatever the age group is. The bases are shorter, the mound is shorter, and the fences are shorter. And the home run dingers are shorter too, but they get to hit them over the fence, and it still counts as a home run as if you hit it out of the park at Fenway. So those are things that, it's hard to argue with people that just, want to put up a huge wall and they won't have a conversation about it. But that has to happen for our game to continue to see growth in numbers, I believe. As somebody young in it at 31, I know we've got to be aggressive and progressive with our vision and say, maybe they need to play tackle football a little later, a little older. And I know that's hard for some people to hear.
Is this going to be a feeder system for you? Is this going to be, are they going to be able to run your system? Are these coaches going to run a system similar to what you run now? Are your middle school coaches going to run a similar system to what you run? So is this truly going to be like LCA, like you talk about third all the way through? Some similar resemblance of what you ran in LCA.
Yes. So we're going to do a spring air assault league. So flag football that we're going to do boys and girls K through 8. And that's going to be open to the outside, as opposed to just Mount Washington kids, because there's really not an option here in the spring other than that one E-Town league. So just having an opportunity for kids to get out at the lower ages and play 5-on-5 flag. And that's an opportunity for, we had some girls, and we've got some like really darn good girl athletes here. I'm sure they're everywhere, but for me to get a text and a couple of other coaches to get text and said they want to put an all girls team in together, can they keep it that way? We've at least entertained that thought, because my quarterback this coming year, his older sister is one of our stud girl basketball players. And, I'd sign her up to play X or Z in a heartbeat. I mean, she'd go out there and catch a touchdown. So, why not? Bring them all out. It's supposed to be for fun. We're only doing it on Sundays. We're not doing, we're not going to do a practice during the week. It's kind of like I'd say a tune up to the fall, but something for kids that maybe don't play football or they play baseball and they're, really a football kid first or whatever it is. They just want to come out on Sunday afternoons and in their age groups, play with their friends and, play flag football. A way for us to, continue to make sure that, football is important in our community. We're going to let our varsity kids, help, be assigned to a team and all that and help alongside that. Because sometimes they're some of the best teachers of, what we varsity level too. And obviously there's only one of me, so we can use all the kids that are just as knowledgeable, especially with our daily stuff. So into the fall though, to get signed up, we've got MWFootballcheer.com so MW for Mount Washington. Footballcheer.com is our website for the league, and that has cheer registration stuff. Everything's basically going to go live here this coming Friday, so the 12th.
Okay.
And that will house all of our spring flag football league that'll be on Sundays only here after spring break, which will be April 11th, I believe it's first day. So, the week after Easter here. And then that'll be basically to the end of school. And then we'll have practice starting at the end of July, right before school starts. So like that last week of July, and then games start the first for the fall season. We'll start the week after Labor Day.
Have the fee yet, and is it going to be open up for everybody? Correct?
Yeah. So the fee is going to be $85, for the fall.
Now, are you limited by slots? Are you trying to have a certain amount of kids or?
So okay. So the mid, and that's one of those things that everybody can't wrap their head around, but just, it doesn't bother me. So here's what I say. The Mid-Kentucky Youth Football Conference at 34, there's so many numbers rolling around in my head, but 34 is their number that they want max on a team. I guess they've had some issues in the past where teams joined and, You know, they grab kids from their other team and add them on. Okay. So, you know, I look at that and I'm like, and I know you all have been in some of these tournaments, and it just, I've heard enough stories to know that I'm like, I want to develop kids. I want as many kids playing for as long as they possibly can if they join youth football. I mean, if we don't go win the Rocky Top tournament, so be it. You know, it is what it is. But 34 is where we're going to split. And then we've basically said as an organization with football-minded people that are making the decisions that we're going to do what's best for kids. We're going to have that kids lens. We're not going to have the daddy ball lens. We're going to make it where if, you know, we've got two quarterbacks and we can split as needed, then fine, let's split.
When you start telling is you want to make sure that you're competitive and you're teaching.
Yes.
So as far as teams go, you'll do that in accordance with your numbers.
Correct.
You know? So
correct.
like if you get like, you know, 20 kids sign up, that'll be one team. But if you get like 60, you know, you'll split that accordingly. You know,
without a doubt.
Or 3 teams, you know, whatever. So I get that, man. That's good stuff, man.
Oh, well, Coach, like I said, man, I know you really want to get on today and just talk about this. So we're glad we got to get you on. And I know it's gonna be big. Like I said, this is very instrumental in getting the LCA to where you was. You know what I'm saying? Having that feeder system. So it's good to see you do this. And I hope to see the league. It's big. You know, Scott County has a model similar to this too. You know, with their youth program starting early on. They learn the wing tee early on and keep it all the way through. So,
but my goal was to make it so that, you know, we can hand Charger t-shirts out to these kids. Like, you know, we did a youth night my first year here, and we, you know, instead of no huddle, no mercy, like we had at LCA, and I've thought about bringing that back because, you know, we kind of started that, me and Coach Thacker at LCA, but ultimately the red is the new fast, gold is the new standard. We did a youth camp every summer. I didn't do one here my first year in. I was following advice to just do like a Friday night lights camp. We had a great, you know, plan going. Well, the weekend prior to that, we got it was a hot weekend, and we got a 7-on-7 tournament banged, and that we were going to Chattanooga. It was like the 100-degree weekend, you know, here two summers ago. So I canceled our like youth camp, you know, that Friday night. Worst mistake I ever did, because I wanted to go play in a 7-on-7 tournament that next weekend and get our high school kids ready. We had $100,000 upgrade to our weight room, you know, middle school football getting off the ground. There were so many things going on. And now I'm like, that's one thing people can say. They're like, you haven't done anything youth camp wise.
I love the passion you have. Like I said, Coach E, man, good luck to you, and good luck to the season, man. And we'll be back in touch with you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you all. I'll talk to you.
Coach.
Great interview, Coach Trouble, Coach Ethan Atchley, man. Good friend of the program. We always have a good time with him. A lot of information. Hey, Coach, I'm excited about this. Coach, we coming out of retirement. Coach, we going to Mount Washington. Coach, give us a team, Coach. We coming down.
If you got any questions or anything about that, make sure to go to the website, sign up. I think this is really big for Bullet Ethan in Mount Washington.
As always, there should be a living donor. I'm Coach Bew. My man, Coach T, be on assignment. Coach Truck.
Hey.